These are black walnuts. This is a nut wizard, and it makes collecting the black walnuts extremely easy. Painless process. Let me show you. I collect these because I want to eat the walnut that's inside of them, but I know a lot of folks like just getting them out of their yard so that they can use the lawnmower, or simply because they don't want to trip and roll their ankle on the nuts. If you do want to eat the nut that's inside of here, this is how I do it. You'll notice that there are maggots eating the husk. That is completely natural. It does not hurt the nut inside, and the chickens actually love eating the maggots. Now, over the years, I have tried all sorts of methods to get the husk off of the actual walnut. What I have moved to, I like to let them rot on the ground for a little bit so that they're nice and soft, and then I'll just come in and stomp on them like so, and you can easily just pick up the nut. Now, wear gloves if you don't want to get your hands stained. You can see my hands are a little bit stained. Like I said, I've tried other methods to get the husk off. I really like the throwing them in a bucket with some water and hitting them with a paint mixer bit on a heavy-duty drill. That does a pretty good job of cleaning up the nuts. It's the walnut shells, they're so hard that as they swirl around in that bucket, it actually disintegrates the husk, and you get a slurry that you can pour that slurry off, and you have clean nuts at the end. Now, I like doing all this in the chicken run so that the chickens can eat all of the husk maggots. The husk itself is actually pretty high in nitrogen and is a great input for composting, mixing in with wood chips. This will make you some good compost given a few months to break down. If you really want to get the nuts clean, a pressure washer is a good tool to have. So they can sit around in the husk for a long time. Once you get around to getting the husk off, you want to get them drying pretty quickly. I like to lay them out on a tarp in the open air outside with a little bit of sunlight for about 24-48 hours. You do have to be very cautious about squirrels. They will steal your nuts. And what this is going to do is get the outside of the nut adequately dry that you can bring it in the house without risk of a lot of mold forming on the outside of the shell. And at this point, you want to cure them. That's typically what people call this process. Cure them with a fan. You want good airflow if you're inside. Use a fan, relatively low humidity, and let them continue to cure. Basically just dry for an additional 4 weeks. This curing changes the taste of the nut. I think it makes them taste a lot better, but more importantly, it makes them easier to get out of the shell. Now, if you're really interested in this, I'm going to be posting a new video to my YouTube that's much longer. It's hard to really cover all of what I want to say about black walnuts in these short 3-minute videos. But the next thing after you've dried them and cured them, you've gotten the husks off and all that, is you've got to crack them. Now, the best tool is going to be a dedicated black walnut cracker like what I have here. There's other models you can look at online. I don't know which one's the best. I've only ever tested this one. If you are patient, you can also get at them with a rock or a hammer if you have a hard surface.